So after last night's episode of Dragon Ball Super, some of the fandom is furious. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of people just going crazy, pissed off. They're just really upset about what transpired in Dragon Ball Super. Some people are upset about the Vegito situation. They were like, yo, we were hyped up for Vegito and we only got like less than half the episode of him. What's going on? That's not fair. A lot of people were upset with the seemingly retcon of now only Vegito can go into that mode, or they can only, be fused for an hour or less because they're not, Kais or gods or anything like that. So that's another gripe people have. And one of the main gripes people have is with Trunks, how he had this lightsaber sword and then all of a sudden he had a spirit bomb Genki Dama sword. So there are quite a few complaints about that episode. I'm not here to damage control it. I'm not here to defend it. I'm here to break down the facts of what we know versus what is actually, straight up bullshit. So some of the stuff may actually get cleared up. Some of it may still be shrouded in mystery, but nonetheless, let's talk about what went down in episode 66 and why people are having major problems with Dragon Ball Super right now. Quickly before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to each and every person that was supporting me. In case some don't know, the live stream that I did regarding episode 66 where I was talking about everything that went down and I was just having a great time with you guys, I got struck down for absolutely no reason. It was a mistake and it all got cleared up, thankfully. The people involved, they were very prompt about it, but it definitely was a scare and I hate stuff like that. But nonetheless, I appreciate the support everybody was throwing at me on Twitter, and thankfully we got that sorted out very quickly. And also, in case you can't tell, I actually got a new Dragon Ball piece of artwork there, so I feel like that represents the awesomeness of our community, and I was like, I gotta get something to celebrate that, so I picked that up. But let's jump into it. So let's start off with Vegito. One of the things that people are really upset about is they feel, what the hell, they just changed the rules of, it used to be that it was permanent, now Vegito is 1 hour, which automatically you gotta say, okay, if you're a non-Kai or whatever, which all of our cast are non-Kais, all of our cast is mainly mortals, except like Beerus and stuff like that, then at this particular point, there is no point in doing the fusion dance. Like, just go Potara earrings, always have a pair of those on deck, and you're good, because the fusion dance is only half an hour. You gotta learn the dance and shit like that. I mean, if that was the case, if we would have had this piece of information, it would have been suitable just to have Goten and Trunks put those on and, call it a day there. But let's go to the facts of what we know on Dragon Ball Super and how fusion was introduced and all the facts that we know regarding the Potara fusion. So the knowledge regarding fusion in general, regarding the Potara, not the dance, because the dance, they already, once they got to the Potara part, they already knew about the dance. It was already discussed. Goku learned it from the Metamaries, so they already knew about the dance. But the earrings, it was first introduced by Old Kai, the old Supreme Kai. He said, hey, you can use these, but you're stuck permanently. You can never defuse again. And we even got a backstory of him and what made him look like this old guy. He's not actually old by age, but he was stuck with some old witch and they fused because, she stole the earring. A lot of people know about this already, but I'm trying to break it down. So here's where some of the complaints come in, because people are saying, okay, maybe let's just disregard the fact that maybe Supreme Kai or Old Kai, he didn't know, because Supreme Kai and Kibito didn't have any knowledge about the earrings being able to fuse people, whatever, but maybe Old Kai just didn't know, because you gotta think, okay, this was like 1,000 years or some odd fucking crazy shit that he was around before he got sealed. Maybe he just wasn't around mortals that put on Potara. Maybe he just didn't know. Maybe Gowas had different experiences about it, or maybe it's just a whole different thing. So we can kind of let that slide in that regard, saying Old Kai just didn't know. Gowas knows more than him. Maybe Gowas been around more than him. Again, Supreme Kai as well was locked in that sword for many years, so who knows, maybe it was only a year after that he got sealed away, so he didn't have time to experiment. Meanwhile, Gowas been around a long time to experiment. But people are complaining that, one, okay, if it's not permanent when it's not a Kai or whatever, then why is he still stuck like that? Why didn't, when he got fused with the witch, after an hour, it went poof, goodbye or whatever? One of the things could be is that as long as there's a Kai involved, they'll stay stuck permanently. As long as there's some sort of god or Kai or whatever, they automatically still stay stuck. Could very well be similar to, like, Zamos and shit like that, because technically Zamos would have the same problem, right? Except the fact that Zamos, the merged Zamos, he stood stuck with Goku's body, whatever, he's merged Zamos or whatever. He didn't split up or whatever, and that's probably, as long as one half of them is Kai, then they're fucked. They're stuck together permanently. Because we go back in time and people are thinking, well, Vegito, the only reason he defused was because he was in Boo's body. We still never really got an answer up until this episode. What happened? Even in the episode of Super, Goku asked, he was like, why is it that me and Vegeta fused and then defused when then it was supposed to be permanent, and then they were told, oh no, it's only an hour and shit like that. Well, okay, they never had the answer why they defused to begin with. People assumed that it was because of the air inside Boo's body. A lot of people assumed it was because of the digestive process. It couldn't digest them or whatever. And another thing is, it probably could fit very well. Again, it could be a retcon. It could just be, more than likely it is that, hey, we can switch things around or whatever, and it still makes somewhat sense. So in that regard, yeah, it's probably that case, but it's still all illogical. Because Vegito defused right after he put down the barrier when he was inside of Boo's body. Could very well be that having that barrier amongst, having the fight with Majin Buu and shit like that drained him completely, and then, his time ran out, and that was it. Inside of Boo's body, he was done. He lost his last little bit of energy and defused, which all ties in very well because, okay, if you're going to point the finger at why is it that Vegito is defusing after under an hour, but you got merged Zama's, which he's putting out an incredible amount of power, and he's still stuck together, that's because one half of him is Kai, and that could very well play into as well the whole troubles that he's been having about his immortality and him just melting down there. Could very well be that partially taking, effect, but of course it's mainly because Goku Black was, Goku's body mixed in with, this immortal being, so he's taking the damage and not being able to process it very well. And I guess another complaint people had is they also compare the fact that Kibito isn't a Kai, but Supreme Kai is, which I think Kibito is probably of the same realm or something like that. Maybe he's from the same nature, so I'm assuming that Kibito at some given point could very well have become a Kai, because again, he looks like kind of similar to Supreme Kai, and who knows of his heritage exactly, but again, you had half of him being a Kai, so it doesn't really matter in that regard either. I think as long as, again, you have half of the being, a Kai or God, you're good. Then quickly, again, to go to the merged Zamas, people are like, what the fuck, he's supposed to be immortal, what's going on? But pretty much in the episode, it was self-explanatory. Goku Black being mixed inside of there fucked everything up. It was like a halfway immortal being, like half of his body is trying to regenerate, while the other half of it is like, bro, I'm normal. I'm a normal human being, or I'm a normal mortal. Like, it doesn't matter. So that's pretty much self-explanatory if you just watch the episode. There's no bullshit there as far as the immortality. That doesn't really come into question because it was explained. Half of him is not immortal. But the main thing, which there's really not much to go off with this one, so I definitely gotta say, hey, it just really does feel like BS, is the fact that Trunks was able to create this lightsaber sword, which we've never seen him being capable of really doing things like that. Also making a Genki Dama Spirit Bomb sword where he was absorbing everyone's energy and ultimately taking out Zamos like that. Honestly, if we would have gotten, some really detailed training and seen Trunks, like, trying to figure everything out, because with Trunks in this arc, the escalation of his power has been insane. I mean, he went from being absolutely weak, Goku Black beating the shit out of him, not even having to go Rose, to kicking Rose Goku's ass and, being very, very strong. And then on top of that, him being able to take out the merged Zamas with the Genki Dama sword that he had. If we would have got some really good detail on Trunks' training that would have explained, hey, he unlocked this transformation because he was fucking around with trying to go Super Saiyan in this different direction, or we saw him sword training or something like that, I think it would have been better explained. But since we really, in the anime at the very least, I think the manga is a bit different. We see that he's actually trained very hard. In the anime, we've seen him have a fight with Vegeta, and we didn't really get much training with Trunks. So I think that's where it lies, the fact that, yeah, the Trunks thing is not really defendable, other than the fact that you can say he got really mad and that helped for him to spark that transformation. Him training with Vegeta helped to get some of the God Ki in there. Maybe he figured some of that out, so that's fine. The Genki Dama sword, it kind of just feels like, what? I mean, if we would have got something like Goku teaching him, the Spirit Bomb, like during a training arc or something like that, and then he did it his own way, that would have been fine, but we didn't even get that. So I guess I leave that question as far as to you guys. Can you explain what happened with Trunks? Because personally, to me, it just looks like it was like, hey, we need a power-up right now, and we need Trunks to do it, because thematically, like I said in my review, it fits very well for Trunks to be the one to take him down. This was Trunks' arc, this was Trunks' problem. He needed to be the big baddie to ultimately take down the villain and shit like that. It had to be Trunks. So Goku and Vegeta taking the sideline and Vegito not being the answer was a good thing in a sense, because again, it helped to make Trunks the star of his arc, which rightfully so. Honestly, it's just the way they went about with it. Like, it just doesn't really make much sense. And to be fair, we have to really look at it one thing, even though they're not outright with it. But for the most part, Dragon Ball Super is mainly, first of all, of course, a fan service. It's definitely fan service. Like, the fans want it. here they go. But I think another thing that I've noticed with a lot of these episodes is they try their best to add as many new transformations, as many new moves, special moves and shit like that to implement them for the video games, because the origin of Dragon Ball Super, from my understanding with a lot of different people, is Namco Bandai been asking them for years, make more anime so our video games can have new moves and exciting shit to sell and stuff like that. So that's why I think they constantly add Trunks' new transformation, the Super Saiyan Rose, all this shit, which the Trunks stuff definitely felt a little bit like, huh? But Xenoverse 3, you'll see it'll be in there. So in a nutshell, the Potara stuff, really not a bad thing, honestly. It's not BS. It pretty much has a good explanation regarding, hey, it was never just told by Supreme Kai, there you go. The whole stuff with Merge Zamas, watch the episode, self-explanatory there. Trunk stuff, definitely really can't defend it. It just doesn't make sense that he came up with all these crazy moves at the last second that is like, where would he know how to make a Genki Dama sword? Like, huh? So those are the problems that are with Dragon Ball Super right now. I decided to address them. Let me know what you guys think. Can you explain what the hell happened with Trunks? How did he do all that shit at the end? Do you think it was proper for him to be the one to take the win against Merge Zamas? Also, what do you think about the Vegito earring shit? Do you still feel is BS? As well as the stuff with Merge Zamas' body getting killed even though he's an immortal. Again, just watch the episode. It explains it. Any overall thoughts of all this? But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.